Hi everyone, it's Kim Parda. I am back. It has been a long time. I'd like to say it's because I've been busy, and I have been, but I don't know, just haven't been feeling like filming a Flosstube. It's like I'd really rather be stitching, so I've been doing a lot of that. But because of the long hiatus, I have a lot to show you. So let me get to some of that. So I want to say probably the last time I filmed was sometime in July, and I've been to a few classes and things, so I'll be showing you what I did in each of those, as well as some other finishes that I have. And I can't say I have a lot of haul to show you. It's not because I haven't bought anything, it's because I put it away. And I know that goes against the rules of Flosstube, but just because of the long duration in between videos, it would have taken up a lot of space where I usually keep video stuff. So I apologize for that. Anyway, let me show you one thing first. So I took another class at Three Kittens Needle Arts down in Mendota Heights in Minnesota. Brenda Stoft was the designer, and this is for needlepoint canvas, not for cross stitch. I'll get to that in a second. And we did a Halloween cat, and I wish I would have brought it up here to show you. But at any rate, what I wanted to do was figure out how to put one of these together and assemble. And so Brenda had mentioned to me that if I finish one of the prior classes that she taught, she will kind of walk through those steps with me. And I said, well, which one of the ones that we've taken is the hardest to put together? And she said it was Artemis. And so I've been, for a good chunk, I was feverishly stitching away on it. And then got distracted by wanting to stitch all the things. So I do want to get back to this, and I'll show it to you in a second here, what I'm talking about. But Artemis is a rabbit, and this is needle felted. Some of you may have seen my other one. That is the Astrid rabbit, and this is Artemis. So they're a little couple. She was going to teach a class next year that were the baby bunnies in a cart. Very cute. But she hasn't designed it yet, and so this shop is going to now have her come back in about another 2 years versus next year, which is just fine by me. I've got lots to stitch on. The projects I've taken her from so far are not finished, so it'll give me a chance to kind of work on them. So here's Artemis. And I don't know if you can see all the stitches on him. And then down here is the beading. So I've been beading these purple flowers down here, and I was having them stand up straight, and they didn't look nice. And so now I'm undoing those and putting them on the diagonal, and it looks much better. So I think I put it down just because it's going to take some ripping. So at any rate, but I'm done with this part, and I've attached this ribbon here, and so I did this little acorn, so he's coming along just nicely. So anyway, that is Artemis. All right. Now I also went to the Needlework Guild of Minnesota retreat, and they have a lot of instructors. I'm sorry, I had to put some stuff on the floor because there's that much stuff. And Kathy Halberman was there as part of Hands-On Designs, and most of the classes I took were from her. And in my previous video, I showed you my pre-stitching that we had to do for those classes. And so from that class, I actually finished a few things. So in no certain order, this pillow. So I don't sew. I don't own a sewing machine. So the hardest part about taking this was the sewing, or at least for me. And it's kind of funny, everybody gets a good laugh. Wow, really? She's stressed out about sewing a straight line? Yes, I am. So anyway, I we finished this. I think I showed you this on one of my last videos. And then we basically finished the pillow with her assistance. And I loved her finishing idea for the back. So in order to stuff this pillow, you, instead of, you know, maybe doing something here on the seam, you cut open a hole in the fabric and then you finished it back up. And we put this flower on with a couple leaves and then a button for the middle. And it's kind of a buttonhole stitch around that. So that was that project. And the theme of the retreat was finishing school. So that's why it was great to come back from retreat and not have new projects or whips. Everything was finished. It was awesome. Then we also finished this little pin cushion. And this is felt on the top here. We felted those down. But this is a little pillow. So we did all the pre-stitching before the retreat and then just had to put it together or assemble it as part of finishing school. So that was that cute little pillow. Now she encouraged us to do something with the back. I follow instructions well. I don't come up with my own ideas well. And the other thing is I really wanted to be done stitching these projects and kind of get back to some other things. So I left mine blank. I know, I'm boring that way. All right. Along with that, there's also this little fob. And so what we did with this is it was basically a full square. And then if you can imagine, we then folded the corners of each to all kind of meet in the tips of those to meet in the center here, and then stitched down these lines to kind of finish this to match with this. Super cute. And then we also had another class with her to finish these, initial tags. So we got the basket as part of the class, and then we worked on this and finished this and put this on the front. And so this was, I just love this, this little basket. So we got this, and then I had Kathy sign the bottom. So that was cool. And then she gave us these little cute little kits to finish. And so here's a little tomato. This is baker's twine, this top part. So it's not twisted cord like this is. It's just baker's twine. This was a little tomato that we made. And you had to stick so these are just felt balls, and you had to stick a long, sharp needle through this thing to get that through. So we got that. And then she had some leftovers, scraps, or misordered color, remnants around. So we made this little pin keep. So she gave us the fabric for that, and we made these little bows on the top. And then we also made a little needle book. So again, with this baker's twine, and then you would put this around the flower to kind of tie it together, but it's a nice little needle book. Made that. And then she also gave us another little make and take kit to make these little scissor keep. So that was that. Yeah. So we had a good time kind of going through all of that. I'm trying to go through my bag here and make sure I didn't leave anything out. It doesn't look like it. So that was retreat. They also announced who the designers are next year, and the one designer that I might take a class from is Amy Mitten. So Amy Mitten is going to be coming. So I've heard her lectures are just amazing. So I have one of her samplers, and I might just take the class so I can listen to the lecture, because again, her historical research is just amazing. All right. So jumping ahead, like way ahead. So last weekend, I took a class from Catherine Theron. So as part of our guild, Catherine Theron came to town to teach us a class. And so she taught 3 classes. I only took this one. And that was the Wee Sampler Sewing Book. And it's just amazing. So if you've never seen, I mean, definitely take a look at more class, or if you can Google this to look at more pictures. It's just amazing. I love it. And I'm really looking forward to making that kit. And so we did some stitching in class, and she showed us and taught us through some of the assembly, and here's all the stuff. And we got a pair of scissors in there too. All right. Next, I will go to a couple FFOs. So I'm going to go to the Midwest Cross Stitchers Retreat in Iowa next week. I'm very excited to see everyone again and just go someplace different. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm going to show you the pieces that I have for that before the actual retreat, just because I think that my roommate, who I've never met, I don't think she watches my videos, so if she does, I guess she'll get a little preview. And then also what I'm planning to do for the Smalls Exchange, and I will conceal it well in a different packaging. I'm not sure how Michelle Rudy's going to execute the Smalls Exchange, but you know, yeah, I'll hopefully put it in a gift bag that no one will recognize from me. So this is from my roommate. This was part of the Circle of Friends kit from the Silver Needle. And when I got it, I thought, oh, you know what? That might actually work if I make it into a like a retreat gift for my roommate. So this is for my roommate. So I thought that was great. And then for my Smalls Exchange, so I had made this a while ago, and I have a finished pile that is not FFO'd, not because, so I make pieces because I enjoy the journey. I don't make pieces just because they have to go somewhere in my house. Sometimes I just make them because I enjoy making them, and I don't necessarily need to see them up on my walls. And this was one of them. And I thought, well, I have it already, so maybe I'll just do it as part of the Smalls Exchange. So this is Blessings Be Thine by Brenda Gervais. And I showed this to you a while ago when I just finished stitching it. And then both of these were wonderfully finished by my friend Trisha. So thank you very much, Trisha, for assembling these for me. Because again, I don't sew. And I'd like to sew, but I'm afraid that might open up a door I just don't need opened from another hobby perspective. But people are so talented in what they can do. Evidence right here. So thank you, Trisha, for doing this for me. All right. So that's that. So I'm going to show you one other finish that I had. So a friend of mine, Kathy, from our guild here in town, and I've told the background before, wanted to do the Redbird Fraktur stitch along. And I mistakenly did not I thought it was one pattern and it was actually another one that I didn't own that she was actually talking about. And so I actually went out and bought it so I could do the stitch along with her. And I enjoyed every stitch of it. Like, I'm so grateful that she wanted to do it because I really enjoyed it, and I couldn't put the darn thing down, which is why the rabbit went down and not this. I just couldn't put it down. And I have to admit, I think I've talked about this before too. It's like you almost mourn the loss of the whip, right? You know, mourning the whip because it's finished and you got to stitch something else, and it may not have that initial joy that you always felt through the last one. And so here's Redbird Fraktur, again, another brand. So I'll take this down with me to Iowa. It's a with thy needle piece, and this is espresso. The color of this is espresso, the fabric. It's 32 count. So this fabric was in my stash. Now I usually stitch on 40 count now, but I knew this is the color of fabric I wanted to stitch it on. It was 32 count, so fine, I did it on 32. I've never flown through thread as much as I have with this. I mean, two ply, 2/2, you go through thread very quickly. And I had to play a little bit of thread chicken with this pink and the tulips. I was really close to running out, but I love this piece. Now your next question after what I said about finishing and maybe not FFOing things, I don't know. I love it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. Am I going to frame it? I don't know that either. So, but I enjoyed stitching every part of this, and the parts that I left till last were just kind of the filling in of the red, because this is just solid stitching. So once you do the outline of it, filling it in is easy, sometimes tedious depending on what's going on. And the same with this nest. So, but that, I think it just turned out. So thank you very much, Kathy. I wouldn't have done this had you not mentioned it, and it was awesome. I mean, I have plenty of things to do in my stash and never expected to do this one. And it brought so much serenity, peace, joy. It was great. All right, so, and I'm sorry, I'm also fighting a slight cold. So Michelle Rudy has been talking a lot about who's Farm Girl, or is it Farm Girl Loves Goats? Is that her Instagram name? So at any rate, she keeps on mentioning Buttermilk Basin, and it's here in the Twin Cities. And, again, we talk about sewing and how I don't need another hobby. It's kind of the same with the Buttermilk Basin, but I had to go up there and check it out. I've seen pictures of the place and it looked cute, and I wanted to see it. So I went up there and of course was sucked into all the things. And I showed some restraint that I only picked up a couple kits. There were a lot more kits that I wanted to get, but I'm not sure if I like the buttonhole stitch much, which is a lot of what this kind of craft is about, the wool applique. So I don't know. So I bought a couple kits. And you'll kind of laugh when I show you. So I love the part about cutting the pieces out and putting it all together like a puzzle. And you can see what I'm missing is the actual buttonhole stitch. So I just got to put my big girl panties on and do that. These are all, and I wish I would have brought the cover to this piece, but these are all going to be snowman faces. And you're supposed to hand stitch the actual orange noses. But what I did is I got nose buttons instead from Amazon. And they look amazing on here. And I also got buttons for the eyes and the mouth, just because I think it'd be easier than doing French knots and other things. And I think it looks super cute. So this is that piece, and it came with this little, you can put on, it's supposed to be a little easel. So I might bring that with me to Iowa, because I might need to be supervised by the expert herself, Michelle, as I stitch this. So that's that. And I know I just need to do it. It'll be super quick, and I just need to finish that up. But that's what I told myself with these kits from Buttermilk Basin, is that I have to really commit to doing them. They can't just be stash ad pieces that will never get done. All right, so with those, especially with the finish on the Redbird Fraktur, of course I had to start something new. And actually, I will pause there. I got a new project bag because, you know, who doesn't need a new project bag? And I got this from Layla May Designs, and I'm rarely online when these go on sale, and they're snapped up pretty quick. And as they were coming up, I was like, oh, that's okay. You know, I mean, they were cute and all, but I was like, oh, I'm finally here to maybe get one, and nothing was coming up that I quite wanted. And then this one came up. And I'm kind of a snarky person. I don't snark much on this, but on this Flosstube, but I am kind of snarky. So I thought this was pretty funny that it says, uh-oh, and here you are in a little grave. I thought that was pretty, it makes me laugh every time I see it. So I got this from them, and I just love it. I've wanted one of her bags for a long time. So that's that. And in that bag, I am doing a new project. So it's also known as Dutch Beauty. It's a permanent design. So here's the full name of it. I'm not even gonna try to say what that is. But it's also affectionately called Dutch Beauty. So you can look, there's a stitch along on Facebook. You know, if you Google it, you'll see it. But this is it. I mean, look at how it. So I'll have to say, I'd seen this before and I never went for it. It didn't really, I mean, obviously it's beautiful, but I was like, you know, it's nothing that I would ever stitch on. And then I saw a picture of this fully stitched in a shop somewhere. I think it was somewhere in Texas was where it was. And I was just blown away. And so soon enough, it was in my stash. And this is huge. I want to say it's 630 stitches wide. And I do ultimately want to end up framing this piece. Like, I don't care if it goes in my house, like goes as in matches in my house. It's going in my house on a wall somewhere. And so because of framing costs, and I don't know, I just didn't want it to be that mammoth. I'm doing it on 56 count. So I ordered fabric from Ju Designs, and I think she's out of Hungary. And on Etsy, JU Designs, and she dyes her own fabric, and this is called Very Light Drab, I believe. And basically it's almost the same exact color as espresso. So I had not seen this fabric in person, and I have to tell you, I have the worst luck with ordering fabric that I think looks awesome online, and then you get it and it's not quite what you wanted for whatever piece you had in mind. I'm not very good at that. So I laughed when it showed up and it was almost the same color as espresso. And I decided to do it. I ordered a half yard of it, so there's a pretty big piece. And and I'm really enjoying it. And the other thing is, and some of you may know this and some of you may not, when you stitch on 56 count, you're really limited to the threads that you can use. The traditional DMC and weeks and other colors, the thread is too wide for the fabric count. And so you're restricted to, and there might be more, but I'm new to this count stitching on it. So you're limited to Tudor and to 103 thread silk, which obviously then is more expensive. So I'm doing a little game, if you will. So every time I go to Stitchville, I am getting one pack of the Tudor Silk. And I thought I brought one of the packs over here. Maybe I didn't in my wedge of things. Hang on, I gotta pick something up here. Oh, I thought I brought it over here. I don't see it though. The Tudor Silks come in a little plastic baggie. Hang on, I'm gonna grab another one. Just hold a second. So they come in this. It's Gloriana. Again, so there's 12 ply in one strand of this. This one is Arctic Ice. It's not focusing very well. Again, Tudor Silk. So these are about $5.20 a pack. So it's pretty expensive. And so what I'm doing is every time I run to Stitchville, I'm picking up one more color for this chart. And there aren't that many. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 colors. So there really aren't that many for something of this size. So every time I go in there, I pick up one more color. It's kind of like a game. And I figured I better pick the color that I'm going to use the most of in between trips. And so that, at least for the short term right now, is the vine, is basically the border. So I picked up a green that matches this color all the way around. And the other thing I'm doing is, so I usually stitch in hand. Just to be able to see the 56 count, I was told to get a little hoop like this. And so, and you know, it opens the holes up a little bit more so you can see it. And you know, for stitching in hand and going to something this little, it's not bad. For those of you who might be contemplating it. So this is as far as I've gotten. And I'm a little bit nervous, just, you know, if any of you have stitched borders, you understand that, you know, there's a little bit of anxiety about, is it going to meet on the other side, especially because you have so much invested on a piece this large. I mean, 630 stitches just the long way. Just to kind of give you a sense of how big this fabric is. Let's hope. Covers up a window, basically. Now, will it be this full amount? I don't think so. So, I don't know. It'll probably take up the full amount going all the way across, maybe, but going up, it's probably only to here. So, and she serges all the edges for you too, so that's kind of nice. But anyway, that's how far I am. Oh, so that's about halfway up. That's not bad. And the thing is, I mean, I've essentially memorized what this pattern is, so it better not deviate. It better not deviate up here, because I'm not even looking at the pattern. I should probably just go back and validate and make sure that's the case. So I'm debating about, do I stitch some of the characters now as I go, so there isn't so much anxiety about finishing up the border and have it not matching, because then you can use some of the other motifs as counters, if you will, to kind of make your way across so you know that you're still aligned or not. But of course that would mean I need to buy more colors to be able to do that. So at any rate, so that is Dutch Beauty. The other thing that I'm stitching on right now, and I just picked it up yesterday from Stitchville. Oh, goodness. Okay. And that is this. With the Needle 2 from Lila's Studios. So this literally just came out. I got the phone call that it was in on Friday, picked it up Saturday. The designer was nice enough to put out the thread list early, and of course I couldn't find all of them because others were buying them as well. So I am missing 2 out of all these colors, but look at how great. And I don't use Classic Colorworks much. I have a lot of patterns that use Weeks, but not Classic Colorworks, so I had to almost buy every single one of these. Again, because I don't have Classic Colorworks in my stash at all, so, or very few. So I went ahead and got those. And you know, I have a lot of thread that I bought from other places that aren't the generic DMC Weeks or other things that I was hoping I could sub for this, but I just didn't want to think about it. So I clicked away and ordered as many of the threads as they had that I needed for this piece and just had them come. So normally if they weren't that variegated, I would, you know, just use DMC instead, but I just I just didn't want to. And so I started this last night, and of course I already made a huge mistake that I have been picking out slowly. I've been miscounting a lot lately, and I don't know if it's because I'm tired or my attention to detail is lacking or what's been going on. So I had to rip out some things, but this is my start that I just did last night. And of course, and I'll show you where that is. So that's this bottom corner. And of course, one of the colors I'm missing, of course, had to be the color I would have started with. That's Hickory Sticks. So with Priscilla, I think at one time she said that was her favorite color. Of course, it's harder to find than usual. So Hickory Sticks has been sold out in a couple places I've looked. I've since ordered it. So I had to start with the inner part of that vase. And then I forgot to leave that space right there that you see there now. So I had to rip off the first part of this little leaf that's coming out of there. And now I got to rip this out because it was based off the counting on this. So I put that down to go back to Dutch Beauty because it's one of those. So I just, yeah, couldn't do it. All right. So I think that's everything. Like I said, I'm going to go to Iowa next weekend, and I think that's it for trips for me for a while. I don't go again until April. I'm going to go to Ohio, and Sherry Jones is teaching another class, so I'll be going to Ohio for that. And then I don't know what I'm going to do next. So I know Midwest Cross Stitchers is doing another retreat at the beginning part of May. Unfortunately, that's the same weekend as my daughter's birthday. So, of course, I'm choosing my daughter over stitching. So, and celebrating her 6th birthday, wow, with her. So I'm not going to that. We have a couple other designers coming through the guild into town. So I don't have a lot planned. Some of that's on purpose because, you know, I just, like everyone, you know, you reassess what you have and it's like way too much. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do with it all. So nothing wrong with taking a little break maybe. So at any rate, I have a lot to hunker down with this winter. Lots of options. I'm very excited, but I hope to see a lot of you soon at one of these gatherings. And I hope you're all doing well. I think winter is coming a little bit sooner, so we haven't experienced a fall. But anyway, happy stitching. Thanks. Bye.